We both met at Bible college in San Jose. And,
he was sitting in the front of the class, and so me and my friend saw him, and he was wearing a short sleeve shirt. So we didn't know his name, but from looking at his tattoos, we made a nickname for him, and we called him Tattoo Boy. And so that was his name ever since before we started dating. We would call him Tattoo Boy. That would be his nickname.
through the Facebook chatting, we would joke around and everything like that, and talk about
wrestling, beating each other up,
stuff like that. I said, "Oh, next time I see you at class, I'm gonna beat you up." But I didn't. I was actually shy, and I didn't talk to her.
Yeah, he would give me mixed signals all the time, so I didn't know if he liked me, and sometimes it was just being friends, but then he kind of showed that he was interested. Of course, I thought he was very handsome, but I just wanted to know him. I just wanted to talk to him and just know who he was. I didn't want to know his name.
I saw her look at a missionary poster in the foyer of her church, and she's whispered, I don't know if she was speaking to somebody or if she whispered, but she said, "I'd want to be a missionary for the rest of my life." And that's what really got my heart fixed on her. And ever since then, I never forgot about her. She was always on my mind when I would go to Bible college.
One day in class, we had to give a little sermonette, and he talked about his mission trips and places he's gone, and how God rekindled his heart for mission. So that captured me, and that's how I started falling in love.
So I was in Bible college with her for a year already, and that school year already passed. I'm sure we've talked, a few times, praise God, how are you doing, and stuff like that, but it was pretty awkward. She was like, putting her feet, twiddling her foot around, moving her hair and all this stuff.
I was nervous too.
But anyways, it took like a year and a half. She walked up to me one time and she said, "Hey, I'm doing a project. It's a missionary project, and I wanted to interview you." And so that's when it all began. I started talking about my missionary trips. She started talking about her input, and we just kept talking. We didn't stop talking. We started texting more.
After the questions was over, I was like, "Okay, thank you. You really helped me out." But then he initiated a conversation. He kept it going, and that finally that wasn't of him.
And I actually said, "Hey, can I call you?" Because I really wanted to hear her voice. And once I heard her voice, man, I just really knew, because we were like best friends already. And it's just really something that God put together.
So we were talking for a few weeks.
A few weeks or something like that. At least like 3 weeks.
Yeah, like 3 weeks. 3 weeks, like almost a month. And then we got our pastor's blessing. He asked if we could start dating, and that same night he asked me out, but we went to Starbucks, me, him, and his best friend, as he was our chaperone. And after hanging out, we left, and we're on my way to the house. There's like this tunnel, and so he stopped under there, and then his friend's like, "I think he wants to ask you something." But I couldn't hear him. I didn't know what he was saying, so in my mind it looked like, "Oh, you want to race?" So I'm like, "Okay, let's race then."
I was like, "No."
And so I hit the gas and it started going fast, and then there was a red light, so we had to stop, and it ended to be under the tunnel. So then his friend says, "No, he wants to tell you something." And so I was like, "Oh, like what?" And then he asked me to be his girlfriend, and then of course I said yes.
You took a little.
No, I
didn't. You were like, "Let me think about that."
I was shocked. It was like right there in the spot, but.
So we went on our date the very next day, right?
No.
Oh, the very next weekend.
Weekend.
Saturday, which was Saturday. So we went to San Francisco, and I got to know her a little bit better. I knew that she was very loving, very caring, very selfless, always willing to help people. And just from hearing, from her friends that actually took us out, like her spiritual mentors, they said that, Yuki is an awesome person, always helps them out, a leader in the church and everything like that. And I was like, wow, I fell in love with her pretty much then on that first date. And they actually said something like, "Would you propose to her right now?" And, if you could, and I would have proposed on the first date. So 2 weeks after, we went on that date, and I already knew that I loved her. We were talking on the phone. And it sounded like she was going to say that she loves me, but that was our first time we were going to say it to each other. I said, "No, don't say it. I knew you were going to say you love me, but I want to make this special." And so I waited till we went to Monterey with her and some of her youth. And we went over there and we walked by a statue. It was on a dock and everything like that. And we walked away from the crowd, and I said, hey, you know, we look each other in the eyes, and I said, you know, I love you, you know, and she said it back. And from that day forward, I knew that it was time to ask her pastor for the next blessing, which was to take her hand in marriage. And he said yes. And so I wanted to do something unique, okay? Usually people, they want to propose after they eat dinner, you know, at the end. But I wanted to do it in the beginning, you know, so it would throw her off. And so what I did was, you know, we usually pray before we eat. And so before the food even came out, I said, hey, let's all pray before the food comes, because I didn't want to propose to her when the pasta was in our face, steaming and everything like that.
It was like praising me. I was like, okay, what kind of prayer is this? Without we're thanking God for the food.
What you got for her?
And he's just like talking about me the whole time. So I'm just like, what the heck?
I slowly started moving myself off of the bench where we were sitting and eating, and went down to my knees.
I kind of peeked, and then I just closed my eyes. And then when he did like move my hand and I like to show me what, you know, I looked and he was on his knee, my heart dropped. Like I felt like, I don't know how to explain how I felt. It was just, my heart was racing.
And I said, will you marry me? And she said, no, not. No, I'm just kidding. She said, yeah.
Really?
And that made me feel like the happiest man in the world. Like, honestly.
Kiss me out of the bearded barley nightly, beside the green, green grass. Swing, swing, swing the spinning step. You wear those shoes and I will wear that dress. Oh, kiss me beneath the milky twilight. Lead me out on the moonlit floor. Lift your open head, strike up the band and make the fireflies dance. Silver moon sparkling, so kiss me. Kiss me down by the broken tree house. Swing me up on its hanging time. Bring your flowered hat. We'll take the trail marked on your father's map. Oh, kiss me beneath the milky twilight. Lead me out on the moonlit floor. Lift your open head, strike up the band and make the fireflies dance. Silver moon sparkling, so kiss me. Kiss me beneath the milky twilight. Lead me out on the moonlit floor.
The first day I saw you, there was always something there. And learning more about who you were draw me closer to you. And I know 100% who you are, and I love you for the man you are. You're perfect.
He created you like just for me, you know. That's just one thing I know for sure. You know, I can't live without you. You know, I need you in my life. I don't know anyone who has the character that you have, the personality that you have, and the servant you are towards God. I mean, I don't have a choice but to marry you. Like, I have to marry you.